Okay, so hello YouTube. So it's been a little while. So I wanted to hop on here today and just tell you a little bit about my light language activation journey. So I think I've spoken a little bit about this in previous videos that I've done, but it's a question that I get asked a lot is that, how did you actually start speaking light language? So light language, for those that don't know, the way that I best describe it is that it's a high energy, high frequency language, and it's more like a language of sound and vibration and feeling, a language that resonates very deeply with your soul, depending on, I guess, who it is that you're speaking with. But more often than not, the feedback that I get from people is it feels very familiar, it touches people, and it activates them. It activates their spiritual gifts, it activates their clairvoyance, it removes throat chakra blocks, it speeds up manifestation. It does so many things. It's absolutely amazing. So I've been working with this frequency now for myself and others for around about 4 years, and I have been working consistently one-on-one with clients, my soul work, doing light language activations, and seeing how it works with lots and lots of different people wherever they are on their journey and whatever line of work they are currently doing, spiritual or otherwise. It seems like there's no end to the possibilities with light language. Now, what it is for me really is it's a new way. It's a much deeper way, a much more profound way of connecting both with myself and with others. And you could also say that light language is human sound healing as well. So that's a really good, simple way of explaining it, okay, to other people that have never heard of it before. So I'm going to do a little bit for you now, and I'm going to invite you to drop into your heart space. And what I mean by that is maybe just bringing your awareness from your mind into your heart, because this is a space where we're able to communicate with this beautiful energetic frequency, because really it is just sound and energy movement being expressed through the heart center. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit for you now, just in case you haven't never heard it before. Maybe you've never heard me speak it, and you can let me know down in the comments below, how did you actually feel? Maybe you didn't feel anything. Maybe you think I'm talking a load of crap, and that's absolutely fine. If you do think that, I'm probably not the person you should be listening to right now. But, it's not for everyone. Like, not everyone feels something, okay? So we resonate with different things. A lot of people do say that it gives them a sense of feeling at home, or a sense of familiarity, or maybe it's just like a warm feeling. So I'll do a little bit for you now. Yanara haya nasi he akia ema. Iwoko taisha enosehe. Onaye samarahashi. Sumoko atieshe. Sila harakat inni wae. Yanea siki mahaya sukira shunasi em. Suna aisi emotoshae. Nikuaraha. Nikura shahiki malahaso kut okinaye sakumarayana. So it was very energetic. So it is a language of energy. So the first thing that your mind wants to do is go, well, what are you actually saying? And it's much deeper than that. It's much more profound than that. And yes, over time, as you do work with it, you do start to have start to have an understanding of what it is saying on a soul level. It's not exactly the same as, when we have human language, this means this, or that means that. It's much, much bigger than that. So before I go any further, if you do feel drawn or you do feel called, there is information on the work that I do below. I do run a light language activation one-to-one course, and I do also have a self-study and group coaching membership, and I would love to see you, love to have you in either of those if you feel called. Okay, so my journey then, and let me know if you speak light language. What was your journey below? Or maybe you're just intrigued by it, and maybe there's certain things that I say where you're like, oh, I think that might be starting to happen to me. So everyone, absolutely everyone, is different when it comes to this. So I'm just gonna have a little drink for a moment because my throat's getting dry. I had some dental work before and it was not a good time, let me tell you. I had to call in the guides to help. So, my journey. So it wasn't something that I planned. It wasn't something where I thought, I want to speak light language. And yes, that is absolutely fine if you do that, because obviously a lot of, pretty much all the people that have come to work with me have intended to for that to be the case. Some people have already been speaking it, working with it for a long time and come to work with me, you know. But some people are just really called to it because they hear it and then they're activated into it, and that's very beautiful. That's not how it happened at all with myself though. So, you know, I was somebody that wasn't really that into meditating, you know, being still, sitting down, or paying attention to a thing for a long period of time, you know, or just being present with myself generally, okay? And I'd been on my spiritual path for a really long amount of time, but there was still this aspect of me that was like, I'm not going to meditate because I don't need to. You know, it's like rebellious sort of aspect. And anyway, I went to a Mind Body Spirit event, and it was, I think it was December 2019, okay, I think. And I just went as somebody that was like having a look around at the stalls, and somebody had a copper pyramid. Now, a copper pyramid, for those that don't know, it's kind of like a meditation device. You sit inside of it and it very quickly puts you in a meditative state. So it almost acts like a bit of kind of, the way I describe it for me is that it's a bit like a portal. When I go inside it, it's like I'm transported into this whole other realm, and everything in my energy just goes like straight away. Yeah, so I'd never been in one of these before, and they were at this Mind Body Spirit event. They were offering sessions where you could actually go inside the copper pyramid and just spend like 15 minutes meditating. So I went and sat down, and then it was just like, honestly, it was like this whole scene just unfolded in front of my eyelids, as like clearly as I can see everything in this room, or maybe as clearly as you can see me now. I was literally on this spaceship with these beautiful beings. I was one of them, and I was driving the spaceship. And I was just like, oh my God, copper pyramids are next level. Like, I didn't expect this. So, you know, and they took me on this journey where I was then inside a white pyramid, and I was then given this blue light, and the blue light was like placed inside me, placed in my sort of heart center. And I didn't know what had happened, okay, but I came out of this pyramid and I was like, whoa, I was like, that is some next level of shit you've got there. And they were just sort of looking at me like, okay, yeah, they're good, aren't they? And I was asking everyone else, what did they experience? And they were like, oh, you know, I saw some colours, it was really nice and stuff. I was like, did you not like go on the spaceship and see the pyramids and get the blue light and the whole thing? And they were like, you need to ground. Like, so it was crazy, right? It was this whole thing that happened in this copper pyramid. But it was meant to happen like that because it was like, you know, like I was saying, I avoided meditating, and it was like I'd received a third eye activation, okay, in this pyramid where I was able to see, and they were able to take me on this journey, they being the guides, right? And so after that, I started to see, feel, and sense things as I was coming, you know, around from sleep. I'd done mediumship training, you know, psychic, all that stuff, been working as a healer for years and years, but this was like next level shit that was sort of happening. And it was like, you know, I'd be in between sleep state and at clear as day, like there would be aliens stood at the end of my bed. Okay, and what I mean by that is like these like mantis beings, which is what they were, okay, and there was this particular one, and he came to see me, and we would have this whole telepathic exchange. Now I couldn't tell you what we were saying, but I just know that I felt very, very, very close. This being, he was like a brother. I felt like a recognition for him, and I googled it one day just to see if, you know, I'd never heard of mantis aliens before, anything like that. And I googled it. I actually typed in mantis alien. I'd drawn a picture of him, and there were these other pictures that came up at the time that were exactly the same as my picture, and I was like, oh my god, I'm not making this up. This is a thing. This is a very real thing. And that for me was like confirmation. Okay, and then I was also visiting other dimensions, which I do a lot now, in that I'm shown other worlds. So let me know if you experience this. You know, I'm actually it's like I'm transported to other places that I do not have the physical words for. I don't have the word, because there aren't words to explain the beauty, the intricacy of what it is that I can see. And the only way to explain it is the lights and the colours, and it's just, it's not like anything that we have here. There's not words for this, right? And I was being shown it. And yeah, and then I was seeing in my mind's eye a lot of more lights, people's auras, things like that. And it was just like my gifts were kind of expanding and developing in new ways. And then over time I started to hear this woman's voice speaking light language in my, let's say, third year, okay? And I was very clairaudient at the time. Now I'm more clairvoyant. But it was like a voice that was here constantly, and she was speaking another language, a beautiful, beautiful language that it was just so, over time it was like someone was turning a dial, okay, and it was going up and up and up and up and up and louder and louder and louder until I couldn't not speak it anymore. And sometimes I would sit there and I'd be like, and it'd come out, and then I'd stop myself and I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, and then I'd start it again and I'd stop myself. And bearing in mind that I didn't know what it was that I was doing. I didn't know that I was speaking light language. I was just trying to speak this language that got louder and louder and louder. But what I did recognize, that as I was using it, it was bringing up feelings in me. And I was starting to be intuitively shown dreams where it could be used for clearing, right? It's very, very powerful for clearing spaces and clearing people's energy. And my friend, who is a medium years and years ago, so this must have been the very first time that I was activated into it, was that, you know, it was back in 2014. She came to my house and she was using it to speak, to clear the space. But her light language was so, so, so different from what it was that I was hearing, and my light language, that I didn't ever put two and two together, that it was actually the same. So how did it kind of unfold from there? So then, you know, I started to gradually speak it more and more. I met somebody who was also a channel, and it was him, I think, that everything really clicked together when I met him, because I didn't know that he spoke it at the time. And then one day he was just like, do you speak light language? He sent me a recording of himself with all these other people speaking it in this group. And I actually cried. I was crying for hours and hours and hours. And because I was like, I don't know what that is, but I know that that's what I'm doing. It was so profound. It was just like such a soul recognition of, you know, what it was. And something was hugely activated within me that night, hearing all those other people speaking it and thinking I'm actually not alone in this. So that was nice. Because a lot of the time on this journey, you know, you can think, especially a few years ago when it wasn't so recognized, which it is now and everything, like literally nobody had heard of it then, okay? Or not a lot of people had heard of it. So then, as I was doing healing sessions, I started to use it more with my Angelic Reiki, and it became more and more. What I realized was it made the session that much more powerful. And the way that I explain it to my clients is it's because it's verbalizing that flow of energy. So your client is really able to feel it because it's giving the energy physical expression. So it makes energy healing sessions so much more powerful. And yeah, and then from there I was at a Mind Body Spirit event. And I think now we're getting on for the end of 2021. And I was there doing the Angelic Reiki and light language healing sessions. And a girl came over to me and she said, "What are you doing?" And I spoke some codes for her. And she was like, "I don't know what that is, but I need that. Do you have a course in that?" And then my mouth went, "Yes." But my brain went, "No, you're lying, you're bullshitting." But it was just like, it was a, yes, of course, like, yeah, I teach it. And my brain was like, "Yeah, but you're bullshitting." I had no idea how I was going to teach it her. But I knew that my soul had said yes. And that's what I was meant to do. And then I created a one-to-one course. And each week there was a channeled component which takes a person on the journey. And that was how I ended up doing, what I do today, in that I activate people. I take them through a process of speaking light language, becoming confident in it, and learning what it means for them and how to work with it. So that became the very sort of core of what I was doing. And there was a while where I was really trying to ignore it and make it not as important as it was, and trying to do other stuff like, I was doing lots of different types of coaching and healing and things like that. But every single time I would be redirected back to the light language, because that's what my soul was really calling me to do. So yeah, that's how I've ended up doing what I do today. I also do quantum hypnosis sessions, which is very much in alignment with that work, because it's very multidimensional and you are basically channeling your guides through your own mouth, through your own voice. It's utterly, utterly magical. And yeah, light language, I mean, it's so much more than making pretty shapes and speaking pretty sounds. And yeah, it's not always pretty, it can look quite strange, but it is definitely very much about, how it feels. And the one thing that I do know for sure about it is that on every level, when you use it as part of your spiritual journey, it helps you to drop into the flow, and it hugely opens up your channeling abilities. And when that happens, everything that you're doing, you become much more confident at, because there's that level of trust, there's that level of faith, you're in the flow, you're able to receive information. And like I was saying, what it has done for me is it has massively activated my clairvoyance, and the incredible things that I see now, because I work with light language a lot. It's just, yeah, it's next level. It's an incredible ability. We all have it. If you do have the desire to use it, please, go ahead and do that. It's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful energy to work with and to integrate into every part of your life. So, if you do feel called to work with me, as I was saying, I do have a one-to-one activation course. I also have a membership portal, which is self-study, a combination of self-study and some group stuff as well, if you feel called. There's links down below so you can have a look at those. Or you can just catch me here on my channel. Also, follow me on Facebook, Activation Amy, because I go live there regularly. You can ask me questions, but if you do speak light language, let me know about your journey as well. Like, I'd love to hear it. I love anything to do with light language, the light codes, and it's interesting to hear different people's perspectives. So I'm sending you lots of love and blessings on this beautiful journey.